The global auto industry is shaking, rocked by forces that are both economic and political. What was once a seamless network of factories, suppliers and workers stretching across borders is now facing unprecedented challenges, and the epicenter of this turmoil is the United States, a country that has long been the heart of North American car production and innovation. For decades, Japanese car makers like Toyota, Honda, and Nissan have been pillars of American manufacturing, creating hundreds of thousands of jobs and selling millions of vehicles to American families. Their investments have transformed local economies, especially in states like Kentucky, Ohio, and Tennessee, where entire communities depend on the auto industry for their livelihoods. But this partnership is now under threat as new trade policies disrupt the intricate supply chains connecting factories across North America. Parts that once flowed freely between Canada, the US, and Mexico now face new tariffs and regulations, making production more expensive and unpredictable. President Trump's America First agenda targets trade deficits, especially with Japan, arguing that foreign automakers have hollowed out U.S. industry. His administration has threatened tariffs on imported cars and demanded new trade deals, putting pressure on both allies and rivals. The result is a confrontational approach to trade, upending long-term business plans and injecting uncertainty into boardrooms from Tokyo to Detroit. Executives are scrambling to adapt, unsure of what the next policy shift might bring. Japanese automakers, once confident in the US market, now face red ink and are rethinking their strategies. Some are delaying investments, while others consider shifting production elsewhere to avoid new costs. The foundation of North American car production is cracking, with ripple effects from factory workers in Kentucky to car buyers in California. Layoffs, plant closures, and higher prices are becoming real possibilities for thousands of families. The unraveling of this automotive alliance has begun, and the aftershocks are being felt everywhere, from bustling city showrooms to the quiet towns built around car plants. The future of North American auto manufacturing hangs in the balance. The crisis erupted in spring 2025, sending shockwaves through the global auto industry and igniting fierce debate across the US and abroad. That's when the Trump administration announced a sweeping 25% tariff on all foreign auto imports, a move that instantly dominated headlines and rattled markets. The goal was simple but bold: make imported cars significantly more expensive for American buyers, hoping to shift consumer demand. The administration wanted to push consumers to buy American, boosting domestic automakers and protecting U.S. jobs. At the same time, the tariffs were designed to force foreign automakers, especially Japanese giants, to shift more of their production to U.S. soil, or risk losing access to the world's largest car market. Japanese cars and parts, which make up a fifth of Japan's total exports to the U.S., suddenly found themselves squarely in the crosshairs of this new policy. For Japanese automakers, the new tariffs threaten to obliterate already thin profit margins, putting decades of investment and planning at risk. The move also threatened to disrupt the intricate web of North American supply chains, which rely on seamless cross-border movement of parts and vehicles. Automakers faced a logistical nightmare. A car assembled in the US might have an engine from Japan, a transmission from Mexico, and electronics from Canada, all now subject to new scrutiny and costs. The message from Washington was unmistakable. Easy access to the lucrative US market was over, and the rules of the game had changed overnight. The business model Japanese automakers had perfected for decades, efficient, global, and interconnected, was suddenly under siege, leaving executives scrambling for solutions. The finely tuned machine of North American auto production, built on international cooperation and just-in-time delivery, was about to be thrown into chaos, with consequences that would ripple far beyond the factory floor. The financial blow was swift and severe for Japan's auto giants. Toyota projected a $10 billion hit from tariffs, slashing its profit forecast by over $4 billion. Honda faced a $3 billion loss, its cross-border production network suddenly a liability. Nissan braced for a $2 billion profit loss, with executives frustrated by the uncertainty and lack of clear rules. The US market, once a growth engine, had become a financial minefield. The constant policy shifts paralyzed decision-making and sowed confusion throughout supply chains. For Toyota, Honda, and Nissan, the American dream was turning into a nightmare. The scale of the losses forced these companies into crisis mode, rethinking investments and operations. The era of easy profits in America was over. After months of tense negotiations and mounting economic pressure, a partial deal was finally struck in the summer of 2025. The agreement was announced with much fanfare, as both sides sought to present it as a diplomatic breakthrough that would ease tensions and restore some stability to the global auto market. Under the terms of the deal, the U.S. agreed to lower its controversial auto tariff to 15%, a significant reduction from the peak, but still 6 times higher than the pre-tariff rate. In return, Japan committed to massive new investments in American manufacturing and pledged to increase purchases of U.S. agricultural and industrial goods, hoping to balance the scales. The deal was touted by leaders as a win-win, a necessary compromise in a difficult situation. But for Japanese automakers, the pain was far from over. The higher tariffs still threatened their profits, and the cost of doing business in the U.S. remained much steeper than before. The new normal meant that importing cars to the U.S. would remain costly, and the entire business model that Japanese automakers had relied on for decades was still under threat. Many companies scrambled to adjust, rethinking supply chains and considering whether to shift more production to North America. Even with the compromise, confusion reigned. Automakers had no clear guidance on when the new tariff would actually take effect, or how long it would last. The lack of transparency from both governments left industry leaders frustrated and anxious. Pricing strategies, production schedules, and dealer plans were all in limbo. Companies struggled to make decisions about inventory, hiring, and investment, unsure if the rules would change again. Relief was only partial, and uncertainty lingered. The compromise had bought some time, but it left companies unable to plan for the future with any real confidence. Many executives worried that another round of tariffs or policy shifts could be just around the corner. The industry remained in a precarious position, forced to navigate a landscape permanently altered by tariffs and political uncertainty. For automakers on both sides of the Pacific, the path forward was anything but clear. With losses mounting, automakers took drastic action. Production at key North American plants was suspended as tariffs made cross-border manufacturing unprofitable. Nissan halted production of its Mexico-built Infiniti crossovers for the U.S. market, sacrificing sales to avoid tariff penalties. Stellantis shut down plants in Canada and Mexico, triggering layoffs for U.S. workers tied to those supply chains. Volkswagen stopped rail shipments from Mexico, passing new costs to American consumers. Volvo ramped up U.S. production to shield itself from tariffs, while luxury brands hiked prices and Hyundai held steady, hoping to gain market share. The industry scrambled for survival, each company seeking a new path in a fractured market. The once integrated North American auto sector was now a patchwork of shifting strategies. As the U.S. market grew hostile, automakers looked north to Canada for stability. Canada's reliable trade policies and skilled workforce made it an attractive alternative for Japanese investment. Shifting production to Canada insulated companies from U.S. tariffs on vehicles sold in Canada and reduced political risk. The old calculus of where to build in North America was upended. Political stability now trumped logistics or labor costs. While some Canadian plants faced temporary shutdowns, the broader trend pointed to a brighter future for Canada's auto sector. Japanese giants like Toyota and Honda began eyeing Canadian expansion, seeing it as a safer bet for the next decade. The U.S. tariff wall was inadvertently creating a new northern gateway for the industry. The tariff war's fallout hit American workers and consumers hard. Layoffs rippled through U.S. plants tied to shuttered Canadian and Mexican factories as supply chains fractured. For car buyers, the impact was higher prices and fewer choices. Volkswagen and Ferrari hiked prices, and some models vanished from showrooms. Even with a reduced tariff, the added cost on a $30,000 car was significant, putting new vehicles out of reach for many. The policy meant to protect American jobs instead created job insecurity and made cars more expensive. The dream of owning a new car slipped further away for many families. The economic pain was widespread, landing on workers and consumers alike. The effort to protect the industry was creating new problems for those it aimed to help. The tariff battle has pushed North American auto manufacturing to a crossroads. The old model of seamless integration is gone, replaced by higher costs and fractured supply chains. Automakers may now regionalize production, investing more in Canada and Mexico, and taking a cautious approach to the U.S. The U.S., once the anchor of the industry, now looks unpredictable and risky to global investors. Canada and Mexico, offering stability, may attract the next wave of investment, leaving the US with aging factories and a diminished role. The Great Tariff Tussle may be remembered as a self-inflicted wound, straining alliances and raising costs for all. The North American auto industry is diverging onto separate paths, with the US at risk of being left behind.